Who would have thought that Studio Ghibli was capable of delivering one of the most soul-crushing films I've ever seen? I guess we need to talk about this. I don't want to though. Hi, my name's Stu and welcome to another review video on Flying Wiener. Well, welcome I say, but I mean, yeah, it really depends on what kind of person you are. If you're here to just listen to a review, then that's fine, yeah, welcome. If you're here for a, yes, as I mentioned, soul-crushing experience, I suppose welcome as well. Yes, Grave of the Fireflies has been on my radar for quite some time. I did actually, if I'm recalling it correctly, because I've covered two Studio Ghibli films on the channel before. One was from my very early days where I did My Neighbor Totoro, and I've also done Kiki's Delivery Service. And in one of those, I definitely mentioned that Grave of the Fireflies was on my radar. Because I was like, okay, you know, I'm generally interested in the World Wars, and Studio Ghibli made a film, and it's supposed to be quite an experience. It's like, okay, yes, so I've had the Blu-ray on my shelf for, I think, a year or so. So it was a evening during the week, you know, my wife said, okay, let's watch films, right, okay, for shall we watch? It's like, okay, let's watch Grave of the Fireflies. It wasn't like, oh yeah, it's like, okay, let's, you know, let's see, because, and this is the most interesting thing about it, I find, for some reason it's got an age certificate of 6 years, at least in Germany and Austria, and even after having seen the film, I'm like, how is this possible? How can you say this is fine for 6-year-olds to watch? I don't know, because even graphically you have a lot in the film where like, this is really going to disturb a 6-year-old. I mean, it disturbed me, never mind a kid, you know. Anyway, enough about that, yeah. But full warning, this is a very, very disturbing story. It really is. It'll stick with you. So if you can't deal with people being in pain, especially emotional pain, probably skip this one. Studio Ghibli's got a lot of other films. They'll be a bit more suited for your tastes. So what is this about? So we are focused on, this is at the end of the Second World War, a Japanese family. The father is in the Navy, he's an officer, we don't actually ever get to see him apart from photos. And we've got a mother with her two kids. One of them's a teenager, he's supposed to be 14, his name's Saita. And then you've got a 4-year-old girl whose name is Setsuko. And very early in the story, the mother dies, and the story is basically about Saita trying to sort of look after his little sister. Yeah, trying to just give her a nice world to live in, a nice environment to live in, you know, try and sort of block out the horribleness of the war and the air raids that are constantly happening and all these kind of things. That is the basic gist of the story. Now, you're saying that actually sounds quite lovely, and for a lot of parts of the film it is quite lovely, because you see these two yeah, just spending a lot of time with each other, really growing together, you know, as brother and sister, these siblings, looking after each other. I mean, it's a lot more complex than that, but on the first viewing, that is the basic gist that, that you're witnessing on screen. The problem is, as you can imagine, they're trying to live in this bubble. I mean, okay, a 4-year-old you can't blame because they live in a bubble like that. But the 14-year-old, you know, is trying to pretend that everything's okay and the outside world can't creep in. Obviously not possible, because while they stay, for instance, with one of their aunties at first, they then go out on their own. And obviously, with being 14 and not having a job, Saita, you know, encounters obviously problems with money. I mean, they've got some funds through the deceased mother, they've got access to the bank account, but yeah, these are the kind of things that creep in. And then you've got, they live in a deserted air raid bunker, and that sounds great at first, but then you think about things like obviously hygiene and nutrition, and these things creep in as well, and they are, you know, what really starts off the sort of soul-crushing aspect of the film. So that is more or less what it's about. We've got these two children, one 14, one 4, trying to just have a nice life, you know, uninterrupted by the horribleness that's going on from the outside world, trying to look after each other as well, where they sort of try and sort of somehow, you know, they sort of adopt the parenting roles in a way, you know, because the sister is very loving towards her brother, trying to be motherly because obviously that's the experience that she has. The 14-year-old Saita, he's like, right, I'm the man of the family now, I have to look after everyone. And while he is very capable and he can cook and all these kind of things, there are just things that he is ignoring, you know, outright problems that he should know. But then again, it is difficult when you think about being a 14-year-old in this situation and, you know, thinking back to myself, how well could I grasp the situation, you know, and how well could I control all these elements around me, because it is a lot of responsibility ultimately. Yeah, so it is really interesting, especially the more you delve into it. It's based on a short story, and reading about that was quite disturbing as well, because the author who wrote this, not this film, but the story, the short story that this film is based on, that is those are his own experiences sort of worked into this. So apparently his sister died during the Second World War in sort of similar circumstances, and that makes its way into the story, right? So yes, it's very disturbing, especially, you know, I mean, I didn't know very many details about the film, but with Setsuko being 4 years old and I myself having a 4-year-old daughter, you can imagine watching this story, especially if you have seen it, it's quite something, because obviously you try and relate it to your own kid who's at the same age, and it just makes it all the more worse. But ultimately, I'm still glad I watched it, because what an experience to think that something like this would be put to animation. I mean, it's funny when you hear about it, because I watched some extras on the Blu-ray and they say that they released this together with My Neighbor Totoro. So you went to the cinemas in the end of the 80s and you saw these films as a double bill, and they're saying, depending on which film people saw first, they had a very different experience. If they watched My Neighbor Totoro first and then they watched Grave of the Fireflies, they said that back then people just walked out of the cinemas, you know, before the film even ended, because they couldn't take it. Other way around, it was a bit better. So watching Grave of the Fireflies first and then My Neighbor Totoro was a better experience. It reminds me a bit of Barbenheimer. You know, it's like, why? Why do you put these two films together? That should not go together. But apparently this was Studio Ghibli's own doing back in the 80s. Anyway. I mean, you really have to commend Isao Takahata. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He is the writer and director for the Studio Ghibli version of the story. There are also live action versions, but I'm just talking about the Studio Ghibli one here. You know, just to sit down and say, you know, animation, this is the medium I want to tell this through. And it makes a lot of sense when you see a lot of things that happen on the screen with the air raids and stuff. Yeah, I think it is a really good medium. And it also shows that these aren't just cartoons, it's not just for kids. Again, I believe you should, if you're going to show this to someone, they should be at least, let's say, maybe 12 or 13 years old, because I think any time before then it might be just too much, you know, to bear. But I think it's really worthwhile. It's very educational, you know, because that is the thing. The medium is not just for silly little kids stories. You can also tell stories like these that are really incredible. Like I say, it is one of the, in the emotional sense, one of the most disturbing stories I've ever seen, because you really just feel so much pain for these kids and what they're going through. I mean, it was really difficult to watch at times as well. I must say that, you know, but this might sound silly because it's just a silly cartoon. Watch it. I hope you have a better experience with it than I did. I am going to watch it again at some point, who knows when, but incredible story, really. So this one sticks with you. Not easy to watch, not easy to stomach, but it really sticks with you. So if you can bear it, you know, give it a try. It is an incredible experience. It's something that you really don't have every day. That will be all from me today. If you enjoyed this video, I usually say that, it feels really weird in this instance. But anyway, if you want to support me, you can like, share and subscribe this video. Leave a comment down below about this film. Did Grave of the Fireflies destroy you as well? Did it crush your soul? Studio Ghibli films, I have now bought a whole host of them, and I hope I'm going to, at regular intervals, do them for the channel as well. So I've got like 8 or 9 I ordered now. So if you like Studio Ghibli films and you want me to cover more of them, I'm pleased to say that I will do so in the future. And they will, as far as I know, all be a lot more happy than this one. But anything you want to say about it, leave in the comments down below. I'll thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one on Flying Wiener. Take care, bye.